Okay, good morning. Parashat Bo, Tafshin Pei Gimel, and we're starting a new series. We finished with the Midrash Rabbah that we've done it over the last year, and we'll start contemporary issues from the Parashat Shavua. Sometimes machshove, sometimes halachic, sometimes different things from Parashat Shavua. And I would like to start today with, since Parashat Bo is so full of iruim and events and ideas, with Maharal. We haven't done Maharal. It might be a little bit difficult, his language, but I'll try to do a little bit, some pieces of it, and we'll see how it goes. So this is a Maharal. The Maharal comes from Netzach Israel. Netzach Israel is the Maharal lived in Prague. He was a Rav of Prague, and he lived in the 16th century. After him was Kli Yakar, Rebbe Lunchitz. He switched him. The Maharal renews a new language, because till the Maharal we found Rambam, we found Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, we find Rishonim. They all talk in a language. Even Ramban, that is very Kabbalistic, he doesn't talk in a Kabbalistic way. He just brings thoughts from the Kabbalah, while the Maharal tries to take the Kabbalah and puts it in a new language that is, on the one hand, it's rational, you can understand what he says. On the other hand, he speaks about Kabbalic ideas. So we'll see, it's interesting to see, first of all, how the Maharal understands Gemores, understands Pshat of Psukim, Pshat of Gemarot, and on the other hand, how he inserts into these Gemarot big ideas. So today I want to discuss the pasuk in our parasha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Hayom atem yotzim b'chodesh ha'aviv. You get out of Mitzrayim in the month of the spring. What does it mean? So the Gemara, the Midrash Halacha, understands that it has an halachic issue. Pesach must be during the spring, and we know that all of Kiddush HaChodesh and Ibur HaShana, the only reason why we have two Adarim, two months of Adar, it's just because of we have to Pesach must be during the spring. You know that when the Arabs they have the Ramadan, so because they count to the moon, the Ramadan can be all over. Sometimes it's in March, sometimes it's August, and they have to fast much more, and they have to fast much less in the winter. But it changed in 11 days from one year to another. So in 30 years, around 30 years, they have mamash around the year. And since we count both to the sun and the moon, so there is one thing that we must do, that Nisan, even though that it's the beginning of the Levana, וידבר השם אל משה ואל אהרון לאמור החודש הזה לכם ראש חודשים. This is the first moon to count for the moon, even though it has in the same psukim, it has a din that it depends on the sun, it depends on the period of time of the year, and Pesach must be in the spring. Therefore, if we have the problem of each year, the difference between Shana of the sun, a year of the sun, and a year of the moon, so we have 11 days. In 3 years, we have a month. Therefore, we have 7 Iburei Shana, 7 extra years with an extra month in order to balance. Okay, so that's the Gemara with Yetziat Mitzrayim must be in the moon. That's a pshat. I want to bring another pshat of the Maharal, which is very important in his thought to understand the goal of Am Yisrael. First of all, the Maharal, and we have to understand that the Maharal has an axiom, as an anachat motza, that the big things occur in the middle. What it means? That if you have, let's say, in Israel, yes, big things, a lot of things that they happen in Tel Aviv, but the peripheria in Kiryat Shmona, the government doesn't count so much because okay, there you don't have the business, you don't have the incomes of the Medina, so okay, but the Maharal has the same understanding with the whole Metziut. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. We know that during the time of the Maharal, it's very, even the church knows that the world is round and it goes from, we know that we are surrounding the sun, okay? So, it has a lot of questions. What is the middle of the world? Because when you thought in ancient years that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the middle of the world and everything is secondary, okay, so we understand that we have to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But if you know that we're surrounding the sun, and all the Metziut is surrounding the sun, and in Chazal, we know that the sun has a negative meaning. It symbolizes Umot HaOlam, etc. What does it mean? What does it say? Okay, so now we'll take a piece of the Maharal and try to understand. I'll run the Gemara because you know that. I'll tell it orally, בעל פה, and then I'll go to the Maharal. The Mishnah in Masechet Ta'anit, בדף כ"ו, the Mishnah counts 5 things that occurred in Yud Zayin B'Tammuz and 5 in Tisha B'Av. Okay? The Mishnah says that Yud Zayin B'Tammuz was Chet HaEgel, נשתברו הלוחות, בוטל התמיד, the Korban Tamid that was 2 times a day was cancelled, okay, in a certain period of time. והובקעה העיר, that's a famous thing that we know about Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, that either in Mikdash Rishon or Sheni, depends on the Gemara's, at least the Romans came and broke into the city. Yes, they broke the Choma, the wall, in Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, and 2 minor things in our eyes. V'saraf apostomus et Torah, so apostomus, some person that we don't know, burned the Torah, and ve'emid tzelem ba'echad. So 5 things happened in Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, and 5 in Tisha B'Av. First of all, nigzar al avoteinu shelo yikansu la'aretz. So as the main thing of Yud Zayin B'Tammuz in the Torah is the 40 days after Shavuot, okay, so it's Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, so it's a Chet HaEgel. Tisha B'Av is centered, is a main thing that happened in it. It was the Gzerat HaMeraglim. נגזר על אבותינו שלא ייכנסו לארץ, וחרב הבית, either in בראשונה and בשנייה. Pay attention that the Gemara says that Beit HaMikdash HaRishon and the second was destructed on Tisha B'Av, while according to Yud Zayin B'Tammuz we say Uvkea Ha'ir, not in the Rishona and the Shniya, and the Gemara understands that just in the Shniya, in the first one it was Tet B'Tammuz, never mind, ונלכדה ביתר, ונחרשה העיר, עד כאן המשנה. Okay, and then the Gemara brings a lot of sources, זה לא כל כך חשוב לנו, it's not very important, okay? I'll put it when I come to the Maharal. Now the Maharal says like this.
You make it bigger?
Yeah, I'll make it bigger, and
Has too much noise in the kitchen.
just a minute. Okay, I'll do it like this and like this. Okay,
It's here, right in the bottom. Oh, good.
now it's better, right? Okay. Okay? כאשר הנמצאים הם מחולקים בעצמם. I'll read a lot. If you don't understand, don't it's nothing because you understand after a few sentences. Months maybe. כאשר הנמצאים הם מחולקים בעצמם. עד שתמצא שיש בהם הפכים לגמרי, כמו האש והמים. If you look at things in the world, you'll find two opposite things, a lot of opposite things. There are warm things and cold things. There are animals that live in the desert and animals that live just in the water. ובמין האדם גם כן. אף שכולם משתתפים, שהן מין האדם, יימצאו מתחלפים. So we find, if you look in humanity, you find some people like this, some people the opposite. עד שתמצא אומה מסוגלת לזה, ואומה לעניין אחר הפך זה, ולדבר זה נראה לחוש. Okay, so you see very lazy nations. Nowadays, the Maharal wouldn't say that in the 21st century, but the Maharal understands that if you look, and you can look in the world, they are very decent nations when you have very lazy nations, okay? Yeah, you have nations that if they have money, they'll make out of it very good things, and you have nations that make out of the money nothing. They'll waste the time. Maybe you'll find people who take the money, etc. ומכל שכן. By the way, I must say now that if you the Maharal is you will have a problem with him that he doesn't hold that all bnei adam shavim are equal, etc. Like in the French Revolution, or okay, he was older than that. He was 500 years ago, and in his time, people used to think. I think that some of the ideas are relevant even now. Not all the nations are the same thing. ומכל שכן, באומה הישראלית שהיא מתחלפת מכל אומות, that's another Maharal issue, that he understands that Am Yisrael is better than all the nations, unlike the Rambam, that understands that the world is universal, and every Jewish is like Mamash Goy, and they have almost the same potential to do the same things. The Maharal, like Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, like others, understand that Am Yisrael is different than all nations. It's clear that I'm talking about duties and not about rights, but okay. ויש באומות שהם הפכים להם לגמרי כמו שהתבאר. ולפיכך אמרו בקהלת, אין לך דבר שאין לו זמן מיוחד. שקהלת says, לכל זמן ועת לכל חפץ תחת השמיים. So we know the third perek, the Shir HaItim, the song of times, we call it, the third chapter of Kohelet. And then Shlomo Melech describes לכל זמן ועת לכל חפץ תחת השמיים. So עת להרוג ועת ללדת, עת להשליך אבנים ועת כינוס אבנים, a lot of things. But he understands that every time and every person and every nation has his own time on the history, on the map of history. וזה שאמרו חכמים באבות, אין לך אדם שאין לו שעה. Each person has his own time. כי במשהו מציאות מיוחד בעולם, יש לו זמן שהוא מיוחד לו. הקדוש ברוך הוא has created you as a unique personality, therefore you have a different and unique role in the world to do. And you have your unique time. You weren't created in the 18th century. הקדוש ברוך הוא wanted you to be in the 21st century, to live in the מציאות. בכל המציאות תחת הזמן, I read it fast, וכמו שהוא מציאות מיוחד בפני עצמו, כך יש לו זמן בפני עצמו. אוקיי. וכמו שהזמן בו הוויית הנמצאים, אוקיי? As we see that all the creatures in the world were created in this world, כן תמצא זמן מיוחד שבו הוא הפסד הנמצאים. So every creature has his own time to succeed and his own time to lose, his own time to go up on the map of the history, and his own time to fall, to collapse, to stop. And we see, okay, now a lot of people talk about the United States, it's a policeman of the world, that its time has stopped. And we see China, okay, till the war with Russia and Ukraine, we thought that China would might be the leader of the world in few years. Now everything changes. Okay. So לפיכך שנינו דברים הראו לאבותינו, כי הזמן הזה בפרט מיוחד אל אותם שהם מתנגדים אל ישראל. So the Maharal wants to say that it's not just a matter of מקרה. It happened that Am Israel had problems in the 2 months of Tammuz and Av. הזמן הוא מיוחד לישראל. And therefore, Am Israel, like every nation, but we're talking about Am Israel, has his own specific time in history when he succeeds, and he has the better time to succeed, and the least time to succeed is Chodesh Av. We'll explain it. כי הזמן אשר הוא מיוחד לישראל, ובו מתעלים ישראל, הוא הזמן שבארנו בגבורות השם. גבורות השם is a book of the Maharal on ספר שמות. כמו ניסן ותשרי. Here is very what I wanted to see. כי הזמן הוא הזמן השווה. אינו יוצא לשום קצה. כי נקראו קצוות שיש להם קצה וסוף. אבל השווה אינו הולך אל הקצה. נכח בחודש ניסן ותשרי, יש בהם לישראל המועדים והחגים, והם זמני ששון ושמחה, ומורה כי לשמחת ישראל ושלמות מעלתם לא יהיה קצה והפסק. So the Maharal says a very interesting thing. He says that as we understood, each nation has its better time. And if you look at during the year, you have a balance between light and darkness, right? In the summer, you have much more light, and the night is very short. In the winter, the contrary. Says the Maharal that both of them, even the summer and the winter, are not good to Am Israel. As I said before, the Maharal takes for granted that the middle is good. The middle, the balance shows what is right in the world. In physics, we know on the contrary, there is a, how is it called in English? Actually, if you see something, if you get into a room and you see that it's tidy, so it's called entropia in Hebrew, entropy. So you see that the room is tidy, you understand that somebody tidied it, because room is never tidy. The baseline of reality is a mess. Everything goes back right, okay? It doesn't go in a set. If you see a set house, a set molecules, a set of everything, you understand that somebody used energy or did something. It might be a Kadosh Baruch Hu, you can think that it's nature, it doesn't matter, but you understand that in order to remove the entropy, in order to remove the lack of order, somebody ordered it and made energy. According to the Maharal, the Metziut is hafucha. I mean, it doesn't contradict because it's two different things. But according to the Maharal, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has set the world in a certain way. Everything that is messy is not the way that the world has to be. I won't have time today, but the next one, the next Shiur, will go back to see the exiles, the galut, the diaspora, what the Maharal understands, that it's not the nature of Am Yisrael. So as with this understanding, the Maharal understands that the best months for Am Yisrael are Nisan and Tishrei, the spring and the autumn. Both of them have a balance between day and night, between light and darkness. And therefore, it's well balanced, and it's not, therefore, we have in Rosh Hashanah, Daf Yud Aleph, we know the big machloket, Reb Lezer and Rabbi Yoshua, whether the world was created in Chodesh Nisan or the world was created in Chodesh Tishrei. And we know that even la'alacha, it's a very problematic issue, because we feel, we daven every year, Hayom Harat Olam, Hayom Kol Yetzurei Olamim were created in Rosh Hashanah, but it's not very clear at all, because Tosfot in Rosh Hashanah Daf Kaf Zayin and the Zohar and a lot of other things, they ask, no, as the halacha is that the world was created in Chodesh Nisan. And they answer what they answer. It doesn't matter now. But the Maharal understands why was Nisan and Tishrei the only options for creating the world, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu has created the world with the main thing, Am Yisrael, in it, and the main thing is Chodesh Nisan and Tishrei, and therefore the main thing is the spring or the autumn. Both of them might be the good months for Am Yisrael.
Is this, when you use the word messy, do you really mean chaos?
Yeah, chaos,
Yeah. So the way of the world, for example, weather is chaotic.
Yeah, that's a role. That's according to the physicians.
Nature is chaotic.
Right. According to the Maharal, I'm not talking about molecules and this, but according to the Maharal, since HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world and put all the nation in an order, so the world is not chaotic. And if you see a chaos, it must be, according to the Torah, a punishment, an exile, a lack of order. But the ordered reality must be that Am Yisrael is the middle, that every nation sits on his own land, has his own part. As we say in Shirat Ha'azinu, Yatzev, Gvulot, Amim, Be'anchel, Elyon, Goyim, Be'afrido, Bnei Adam. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu set the world after the flood, so he put each nation in its place. And therefore Am Yisrael has his own place, which is Eretz Yisrael. And Eretz Yisrael is not just, according to the Maharal, we're not in the topic, but according to Maharal, Eretz Yisrael is something intrinsic to Am Yisrael. It's something that's a place. Every person has a place, has a location, and it has a time. Every reality, every nation has a place. Am Yisrael has a place, Eretz Yisrael, and has a time in history. And therefore, the Maharal understands that Yetziat Mitzrayim, that's what I wanted to say, is not just a mikre that it was during the Aviv. You know, Rav Kook had a book called Geresh Yerechim. And Rav Kook used to describe each month by a sentence. So Rav Kook had a very poetic way of talking. Okay, so he described each month with one sentence. And with Nisan, he has a very nice sentence. Yetziat Mitzrayim, says Rav Kook, Tishaer La'ad, will forever be the spring of the whole world. Ha'aviv shel ha'olam kulo. Yetziat Mitzrayim, Tishaer La'ad, Yetziat Mitzrayim will be forever the spring of the whole world. Usually, when we explain what he wanted to say, we talk about the freedom, about what we know now, that just from the French Revolution, we talk about freedom, that all Bnei Adam Shavim or equal, etc. And from Am Yisrael, it's from the beginning, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, it's Naftara in Yirmiyah, that at the day of that I took you out of Egypt, I told you not to enslave your friend, because enslavement is the opposite of the freedom of the world, etc. So usually when we talk about Nisan, we talk about freedom. What the Maharal here talks about, and I think you can put it in the same sentence of Rav Kook, is that Nisan, the Aviv, the spring, must be the time to Am Yisrael to get out, because Yetziat Mitzrayim, since Am Yisrael is created, since the middle of the world is created, because Am Yisrael is the main reality in the world, therefore it must be during the spring. And that's the interpretation of the Maharal to Hayom Atem Yotzim Bechodesh Ha'aviv. It's not just an haloch that you should keep Pesach in the Aviv. Pesach must be in the well-balanced time. Actually, it might be in Tishrei as well. Yes, the Maharal doesn't explain why it's Nisan and not Tishrei, but he says it cannot be in any other month. Let's go further and see how the Maharal takes it into the opposite. אבל הזמן אשר היו גוברים המתנגדים להם והיו מחריבים אותם, ובתמוז ואב שהם בקצה החמימות. It's not just a מקרה that by accident it happened that the Babylonians and the Romans came just in Tammuz and Av. No, the Maharal understands Tammuz and Av are bad months for Am Yisrael, okay? שהם בקצה החמימות, as we know in Eretz Israel, July, August is it's not easy. והם בקצה כאשר גבר החמימות. Everything that is in the edge, he has written it before, I didn't explain it. Everything that is in the edge has a probability to be in the edge, to be in the periphery, to be unimportant, to be cut, okay? Okay? Everything that is important, significant, is in the middle. And therefore, since you have too much heat or too much cold, he doesn't really write it here, but you know that the same thing happens with Chodesh Kislev and Tevet. He'll write it later. In Chodesh Kislev is the lack of light and the extreme winter, okay, or Chodesh Tevet is extreme winter, and therefore we have problems in Kislev and Tevet. The Hashmonaim was a miracle that out of the darkness they succeeded. It was a miracle, unlike the nature of the world. But the nature of the world was that Kislev and Tevet are bad months for Am Yisrael. So let's go. He doesn't speak about Kislev and Tevet. Now he speaks about Tammuz ve'Av. ומורה, כי לחורבן ישראל ותגבור את האומות, יהיה קצה וסוף. כי כל דבר שהוא קצה יש לו סוף, כמו שמשמע לשון קצה. So it's not only a reality, it has a nechama in it. It has a condolence in it. Why? Because since the word ketz and word katze, the word edge, and the word the end, means the same thing. It has the same root in Hebrew, ketz, katze, okay? You're on the edge, you are at the end, okay? ואין לך נטיות קצה יותר כמו כאשר הוא בתמוז ואב, שאז השמש בתכלית תוקפה וגבורתה. So it's the most unbalanced reality of the year because the sun is very, very strong, or I can say that the light is very long and the night is very short. וזה הזמן, הוא הפך הזמן המיוחד לישראל, שהוא הזמן אשר בו השוב. Okay, now he goes to specific understanding of this Mishnah, this Gemara and Ta'anit. ו17 בתמוז הוא התחלת הקצה. ו9 באב הוא תכלית הקצה. Okay, now he doesn't understand the specific why is it Yud Zayin and why is it that. He'll do it further, but he understands that Tammuz and Av are not just by accident, are a symbol of the unbalanced time. ולפיכך אלו שני זמנים מיוחדים על כוחות המתנגדים על ישראל, and therefore it was that עם ישראל had to be exiled then. ומפני כי הזמן הזה הוא מיוחד שהוא מתנגד אל הקדושה, לפיכך בי"ז בתמוז ובתשעה באב הראה בו 10 דברים. Now the Maharal goes into another typical explanation of the Maharal. He understands that when the Mishnah says 5 and 5, it's not just a mikre that you recall the 5 dibrot and the 5 dibrot, or the 10. It's not just a list, okay? Because if you look at the list, you might say that, okay, Saraf apostomus et Torah, during the Holocaust, the Nazis a lot of times burned Torah. So why is it so significant? So you understand that the numbers are very significant. כי מספר 10 מיוחד לדבר שהוא קדושה. As we know in many halachas, many things in the halacha, that the 10 is a symbol to קדושה, to be completed. כי כן אמרו, אם אין קדושה בפחות מ10, we have the minyan, we have the 10 דיברות, we have the 10 מאמרות, statement in which the world was created, we have the 10 מכות in יציאת מצרים. So the shlemut, okay, is in 10. ולכך, when you come to the destruction, the 10 becomes a completing of destruction. Okay, therefore, Chodesh Nisan, Chodesh Tammuz and Chodesh Av together, they have 5 here and 5 here, altogether creating 10 bad things, creating a shlemut of badness, of evilness, of destruction, of non-עם ישראל, אוקיי? ועוד, כי מספר 10 מורה שהזמן מתנגד לגמרי עד שאין על זה, ולכך 10 דברים הראו, כי המספר מגיע עד מספר 10, ו11 חוזר למנות 11, 12, והרי אין על מספר 10. Okay, what Maharal wants to say, it's the same thing actually, is that you count till 10. Okay, I would say now that we have digits from 0 to 9. When you come to 10, so the 10 is 1 and 0, 1 and 0, so it's the same thing, but higher, right? In a higher system. But the Maharal doesn't use the digit 0. He doesn't relate to it. So he relates to 1 till 10. And he understands that from 1 to 10, you have shlemut of numbers. When you have 11, 12, etc., you have the same thing because you play with the same digits. Okay, in 10 you have the 0, and then from then on in 20 you have the 2 and 0. 30 you have 3 and 0. So he has the same thing. That 10 is not במקרה the number of shlemut, of completing the whole minyan or imakot or ma'amarot. And therefore it is here. ומפני כי הזמן הזה מתנגד לישראל עד שאין על זה, לכך 5 בי"ז בתמוז ו5 בתשעה באב הם 10. Okay, we don't have time. I'll just tell you in short, it's not related to the shiur. The Maharal goes on in this parak. If you want, we can make it during the summer before שלושת השבועות. The Maharal explains that י"ז בתמוז is a beginning and תשעה באב is a completeness. Why? Because י"ז בתמוז, let's say it's נבקעה החומה, the wall was broken, and תשעה באב is the destruction of בית המקדש. And the Maharal very nicely compares with all the 5 from the one list of the Mishnah in Tanit, 5 of י"ז בתמוז and the 5 of תשעה באב, and explains why each one of them is like the first one is the beginning, the second one is the ending. Okay, do the same game with in 2 weeks we have עשרת הדיברות. Put in one place the right לוח, the whiteboard of the 5 ציוויים בין אדם למקום, and put on the left the 5 דיברות of בין אדם לחברו. Try to understand why each one of them is similar, the first to the 6th, the second to the 7th, etc., and you'll find very interesting ideas. So the Maharal does it there as well, but here he does the same thing with י"ז בתמוז and תשעה באב. In any case, it's not related to our issue, לכן I don't do it now, but the Maharal goes into תשעה באב and explains exactly according to what he has just said, that the 10th is a completeness of bad. So he understands, that the Gemara says that it's not clear, the Emshech of the same Gemara. The Gemara said that there was a machloket whether to count just Tisha B'Av or the 10th of Av, because the Gemara said that on the 7th of Av, the Babylonians came into Bet HaMikdash and they stayed there the 7th and the 8th and the 9th. And the 9th, if not Erev, they threw the fire, they lit Bet HaMikdash, and the main burnt was during the 10th. And Rabbi Yochanan says, if I was there, I would say that not Tisha B'Av, 10th of Av should be the day to remember. But the Gemara says that וחכמים סברו שתחילת פורענות, we count for the beginning of the destruction, the beginning of the lighting on Tisha B'Av. So the Maharal again understands that the 10th of Av is not just an event, a mikre, that it happened during the 10th, but it happened because the 10th is a completeness of destruction. Okay, and then he explained in this way each and every nuance in why is it Tammuz, why is it Av, why is it Tish'a, why is it Shiv'a, why is it 10th, why is it Yudzayin B'Tammuz. But the main thing which I want to go back and to finish with it is that the main thing is that you have the things that are important in the middle. I'll write just this keta, and we'll do it again Bezrat Hashem the next week. The Maharal says that the cry of Am Yisrael in Erev Tisha B'Av, the Gemara says the Meraglim came back and it was Erev Tisha B'Av, then everybody cried, and because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Atem b'chiyitem b'chiyah shel chinam, you have cried for in vain, so I'll do it b'chiyah for the new generation. So the Maharal understands that when you cry, it's not just a mikre, okay, that somebody stimulated you too much, and the Meraglim came and said Lashon Hora on Eretz Yisrael, and then I cried. No, the Maharal says again that there is a nature on things that are important to you, you wouldn't cry, okay? You wouldn't say, I don't want to go to Eretz Yisrael. I'll tell you the next time, but at the end of, if you remember Orwell, 1984, he has a book. So he has the Russians try to catch somebody, the big brother is watching, and they take him. And then at the ending scene, they bring rats. They put him in a 101 or the room, and they put rats, and they come to him and almost swallow him, and then he's in love with a girl called Julia, and then he says, do it to Julia. And then very nicely Orwell finishes with the whole book and describes as they go in the streets, Julia and him, and everything goes and happens, and they go, but they know that the love is over, because once you say, even in that case, do it to her, that's it. That it shows on your inner ratzon, inner wish, that you are not part of it. That's what the Maharal explains here. You can cry, it might be by mistake, somebody misled you, etc. It doesn't matter. But if you can cry, it says something about yourself. Why are you crying on it, on Eretz Yisrael? It says that you have a disconnection, inner disconnection between Am Yisrael and himself about Eretz Yisrael. And that's why the Maharal says that it was a big problem with Tisha B'Av, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu stated Tisha B'Av is the day that symbolizing the disconnection between Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael. I'll go on. We have less than 1 minute till the Zoom is cut. So Shavua Tov. Thank you. And just tell me, feedback if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you think that we might go back to different things, etc. I'm open to dvarim. Let's.
No, very interesting.
Thanks a lot. תודה רבה.
Yes, תודה.
שבוע טוב. להתראות.